free mind. You crazy for this. Soulful. It's like our responsibility to make us feel something. You know, to make people feel what we feeling. Hey, yo.
Regie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show, a show that we do on Sunday night in order to get the week started off right. And as part of that, I give you a rundown of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel over the course of the week, and then also give you a little bit of insight into some things that are possibly on your mind, certainly on my mind. And in tonight's show, we are going to have two guests on. We're going to have two guests on that are going to spend a little bit of time talking with me about a few things that I have observed on the YouTubes and the Instagram machine. And I'm excited. I am excited to talk about these two topics tonight. I think that they will both be insightful, but I will give you guys a quick rundown of the content that is going to be coming out here momentarily, and then we are going to get to our guests. Before I do that, though, I want to go to the chat real quick to say hello to a couple of people. I see Trev, the shipping guru, up in here. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. My man Matt Woods is up in here, one of the blue wrenches. It is always good to see you, my friend, and congratulations on your nominations for the Comic Book Community Award. Herman's up in the house. How you doing, Herman? It is good to see you. Liger Style is in here. My man Dennis, Kingpin Comics, one of the guys that is behind a lot of the graphics that come out from the channel. Shout out to Dennis. It is always good to see you. Young Matthew. Oh, young Matthew. We need to upgrade that photo, brother. We need to update that. I have a feeling, young Matthew, that is not what you look like at present, but it is good to see you, my friend. Phil Tastic is up in here. It is always good to see you. The OG is in the house. Tina, how you doing? Brian LCS is in the house, the guy that is behind the Comic Book Community Awards. Thank you, brother, for swinging by and hanging out with us just a little bit. Alan's up in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Climbing Comics is in here. My Canadian brother, Squirrel Madness, aka Wayne, he lost his Instagram account this weekend. So if you are on IG, I definitely want to encourage you to look for him, give him a follow, because he had to forfeit his account. And I know how rough that is. My wife has been locked out of her account for a couple of months on Instagram. Not certain if we're going to be able to get it back. We shall see. One of my other Canadians is up in here. Rush, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Larry's up in here. Richard's up in here. My headphones are going in and out, so bear with me, people. Oh, so much better. Now I can actually hear myself. Terry, how you doing? Frog Brawler's up in here. Sylvia, how you doing? All right, so I see Doug is up in here. All right, let me scroll down to the bottom. It is definitely good to see you guys up in here. Let me give you a quick rundown of a couple of housekeeping items real quick. Quick start. The Kickstarter for issue number 2 is 31% funded. There's been a lot of questions about that. What I will tell you is that we are leveraging issue number 1 to raise funds for issue number 2, specifically for the printing of issue number 2. So by funding the Kickstarter, supporting the Kickstarter gives you access to covers, the ash can, some things that you haven't been able to buy before, but it's all associated with issue number 1, which is something that we already have. We already have it in our possession and we can send it out relatively quickly. Some of the rewards do include copies of issue number 2 as well, but it is really built around issue number 1 to support issue number 2. 31% funded. Shout out to everyone that has funded the Kickstarter thus far. There are 5 copies of Isolation cover 1E. This is the premium cover, the matte finish with the spot gloss. There are 5 copies of that available on regiecollects.com. The price has not changed, same price. I had a small supply of those books actually come back from New Jersey, signed by the creative team there, sent it back to me. I'm holding some of those books as rewards for the Kickstarter, but I have some that I can put up for sale right now. And so it's 5 copies that are available right now on the website. I'm also going to be giving away a copy of Predator. This Predator variant that was sent in to me, it was not claimed. This was sent to me by Cyberspace Comics. It was not claimed in the week that the winner had to claim it. And so we are going to give it away at some point during tonight's show to one of you that is watching right now. You will walk away. You will walk away with that copy of Predator. But I was so distracted. I was so distracted by this comment right here. You, sir, are my favorite person today. You're my favorite person. You never know. You never know how things can go. Paradise is up in the house. How you doing? It is good to see you. Speaking of people that lost their accounts, Milt also lost his account as well. He lost his account a couple of weeks ago. No, a couple of months ago now, and he's been rebuilding ever since. So people losing their accounts, man, it is brutal. My 2 cents, it does not work that way. It does not work that way at all. But I applaud you. I applaud you for making that attempt. All right, let me give you guys a rundown real quick of some of the content that is coming out from the channel this week. I was hoping to do the CGC top 10 countdown, but there was something wrong with the file. I was unable to open it, so I was not able to record that video. But there's a possibility that by the end of the week, I will receive a new file and will be able to open it up. And as a result of that, be able to record that video and release it to you guys this week. But quick rundown of some of the content that I do have that I will be releasing. Comics as a source of happiness. Are they a source of happiness or just a source of frustration and angst? I don't know, but we're going to release a video that talks a little bit about comics as a source of happiness. I have a buy these books now video that is going to be dropping out. And despite that title, we always encourage people to take some time to do some independent research and to not substitute my judgment or Doug's judgment for your judgment. So do your own research before pulling the trigger or even digging in your long boxes to see whether you have these books. We're going to run that down. I have decided to take on a challenge. I've decided to take on a challenge of Key Collector app. Key Collector app sent out something the other day that captured my attention, and I went into action. So in a video this week, Key Collector versus Regie Collects, it is going down this week. I think you guys will enjoy that video. And in addition to those pre-recorded videos, we're going to do the Comics Today show on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In addition to those videos and live streams, we're also going to be releasing the podcast on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can take some Regie on the go. All right. So there you go. And as I mentioned before, I try to mention it so that I don't forget it. The podcast is available on all of the popular podcasting platforms out there. If you search for Regie Collects, you should be able to find me, and you can, as I mentioned, take some Regie on the go. So there you go. That is the rundown for this week. And now I want to introduce my first guest. I want to bring my first guest on, and I want to make sure I get this right. My first guest is actually a nominee for the Comic Book Community Award category of Best Unboxing Video or Series. And this person is in the category of 1,000 to 5,000 subs. I spoke to this person a couple of months ago, very, very briefly, and now it gives me great pleasure to actually welcome to the show Dani. Dani, how are you tonight?
Good, Regie. How are you?
I am doing well. So, Dani, my first question to you. I did not realize that you were from Detroit.
Oh, yes. Born and raised.
I was looking in your profile on the Instagram machine. I think it said a collector from the 313. I said, oh, she's from the D. And then you show up with a shirt that has the Detroit Tigers on it. That's what's up.
I always got to represent.
Yeah, you know, I see. You know, I normally wear my Detroit shirt.
I see your Bad Boys t-shirt.
I did not know that you were from Detroit. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
East side or west side?
I grew up on the east side.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. That's what's up. That's what's up. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So, Dani, I wanted you to come on the show because you recently did a submission that caught my attention on YouTube. And in this submission, you basically submitted 25 books into CGC.
Yeah.
And you did not do a press or a clean on those books. I thought that was very risky. Thought it was very risky, Dani. But you sent those books in. And I think 23 of the 25 came back at a 9.8. Talk with me about your mindset and your decision to submit those books in with at a pre-screen for 9.8, but no clean, no press. Set that up for me.
Well, it's kind of a multi-part journey. First of all, it was about me learning how to grade. It took me a long time to even work up the courage to do a 25 book submission. It's not easy to do. But I had studied some videos of people grading. Yours is one of the grading videos that I watched. And then I also got into the Overstreet grading guide.
Yep.
I read that book and I read it again and I read it again before I felt comfortable to learn what defects would still allow a book to become a 9.8. So that was the first thing behind it. And then second, of course, is what motivates us. It's financial. Pressing and cleaning costs money. So, so I said, if I could pull this off, how much money could I save just by carefully going over the books and testing my grading skills.
There you go. So talk to me a little bit about the confidence and the time that you dedicated to understanding how to grade. Like, what was that process like for you to get enough confidence up to feel comfortable to make that kind of submission? Because it's not cheap. It's not cheap to submit books. Certainly not clean and press them, but talk with me about the education that you tried to amass to get the confidence level to do the submission.
I put in a lot of hours, to be honest. I took months, Reggie, to research. I'm a student that way, where if I want to learn something, I want to be able to do it well. So I watched a ton of YouTube videos. And then, like I said, that Overstreet guide, I read it again, and I read it some more. So it was just like, okay, do I know enough now to go ahead and finally do this? And at that point, I started to pull out books of different conditions, not just ones that I thought were 9.8, and compare them, because that guide has pictures to show you what types of defects could bring a grade down. And I started comparing books in my collection and then saying, okay, this one will probably be a 9.4. This one probably would be a 9.0. And from there, the confidence just grew. And then I did a submission where I did clean and press. And, I looked those over, and you can see through the case if there are defects or not, just to kind of see what they marked down on it. Didn't have a lot of graders notes at times. So it's like, you just got to go for it. And
it made it a little difficult without the graders notes. But to your point, sometimes you can look through the plastic and know. Now, let me ask you, when you look through the plastic, did you miss those defects when you did the submission? Like, what was your thought there? Like, I've seen the people where they unbox the book and they don't remember submitting that book with that defect. Did you readily acknowledge that you probably missed that one or misjudged the defect?
Again, it's a learning process, learning what's a pressable defect. I wasn't sure on some of them, like, could this be pressed out? So I won't say that it's something that I missed. I tried to submit books full knowing what the defects are. I even try to push the envelope a little bit. In that submission, I missed 2. And that was me testing how far could I push the realm of possibly getting a 9.8 out of this book with this particular defect. So I try not to miss. I noticed, like you said, on unboxing videos where people say, oh, I must have missed that. I myself haven't had that experience because I really, really take my time before I submit those books.
And I'll be completely honest. I've said it that I missed it. and I know my personality, I missed it. Like I just didn't even see it. Like I'm super honest about that. Like, you know, my wife was making fun of me this weekend because I went someplace, I bought some stuff, and then I had to go back because I bought something. There was something I should have bought that I didn't buy because I didn't see it. Because that's just my personality. I have tunnel vision, right? When you sat down to evaluate the books for your submission, how much time did you take looking over those books? Did you take photos of those books, or did you just spend a lot of time carefully looking at them a few different times to make sure that they were true 9.8 candidates?
Yeah, I take a good amount of time on each book. I do not use gloves. I've heard the people say, "Oh, you can't touch the book. You know, you're gonna get fingerprints." But I found, you know, if you clean your hands really well, you know, it gives you that better feel for me.
Yep.
You know, so I look them over. I put them under a light. I
Mm.
use a magnifying glass. I do all of that. I don't take the photos, but I'm looking and you know
I'm
looking
gonna,
at.
I'm gonna let you do my submissions from now on. I'm gonna be honest, Danny. I've never pulled out a magnifying glass, but you know, I do find a good light. I try to hit the right angles to be able to look at it. One of the other things I'm curious about is, did you have multiple copies of the same book that you were comparing to one another to decide which of maybe the 3, the 4, the 5, I don't know what number, to decide which of them to submit? Or did you like have a single book each time that you're trying to examine as carefully as possible?
Uh, I'll admit I am a multiples person, specifically for grading.
Mhm.
If it's a book that I really like, I usually buy multiples. So yes, I pull them all out and I look over every book because I want to make sure that I am looking for that 9.8 candidate, and then also compare it to the defects that the other ones may have. So absolutely, multiples of most of that submission, I have multiple copies of every book.
Yeah, and then you just pick the best of the best from the stack that was done. And I think I actually did a video on that on the past. I did like Spider-Man #1 because I had multiple copies of it. And I kind of showed like you can have multiple copies and you can compare them, but just because a book is new doesn't mean that that book is guaranteed to get a 9.8. You still have to take the time to examine it. And I think if you have multiple copies, it makes it really easy to contrast one to the other. So you, out of your submission, and so for those folks that came in late, I'm actually sitting down right now with Dani Girl Comics, having a conversation about her submission into CGC. 25 books, no clean, no press. Two of them were missed. Two of them were missed. What defects did you actually miss on the two? Did you have a chance to go back and look specifically at the two that were missed?
I did. So the one I believe was a We Live #5. And the colors, it was very colorful on the back cover. And there was just a tiny little fold, but it was very hard to see. So they got it, you know, they saw it. And I said, wow. So I did miss that one. So I do miss,
Yeah, yeah,
even though,
yeah.
even though
It
I got my
happens.
magnifying glass.
It happens. At one point, I chuckled to myself because you were like, "I need to go get my glasses so I can see," and I can see the label. So I kind of chuckled, and then you just had your glasses in your hand a second
I
ago. So
do.
yeah, you gotta be prepared for this stuff. So Dani, what I would ask you this. You know, you chose to go down a path where you dedicated a lot of time to really understanding how to grade books, how to evaluate books, how to do a proper submission. You spend time staring at your books to make sure that the books that you're submitting are the best representation that you have in your collection. Is there any other advice that you would offer up to someone that is contemplating doing a submission, or you know, whether they be new or old, right? What tips would you offer up for them to consider and to think about?
Number one for me is be patient. I find that when I'm watching videos, people are saying, "Oh, you know, maybe I wasn't patient enough. I rushed this submission," and and you know, CGC isn't going anywhere. I mean, so I would say really, really build up your confidence and do as much research as you. I became a sponge, soak it all in, and as much as I love your channel, I went to multiple
Yep.
channels
Yep.
because you can grab something from multiple resources,
Yep.
and that's what I did. I looked at many YouTubers' videos, and then again, I go back to that book that I read backwards and forwards. But for me, I find that patience is the number one thing. Everyone's so excited to submit and they want to get those books in and hurry up and get them back. But if you want that grade, take the time. Take the time.
There you go. Well said. So one of the other things, Dani, that I noticed about your submission as I was watching that video is that there were a lot of indie books in that submission. Is that typical for you? I mean, are you a big indie person? I mean, I know you like Miles Morales, but are you a big indie reader as well?
You know what? I got back into collecting in 2020, and I tell you, Reggie, that was a new world for me. I had no clue about indie books, other than if you want to consider Spawn an indie title.
I don't.
It was new to me.
Yeah.
And I was hesitant to get into it. I know some of the books were Something That's Killing Children. And that kind of blew my mind, being out of collecting for, probably like 20 years. And I said, oh my gosh, there's a book about killing kids. Do they really like this?
As a mom, I get that. You had that pause where like, is this really what I want to get on board with?
Right. And then, I heard about titles like Bitter Root. And then, The We Live was another one that I enjoyed so much with my kids. And I found these stories to be so enjoyable that, yes, I became a big indie reader after that. Yeah.
That's what's up. And I've spoken about this before on the channel. There are a lot of people that are embracing indie that traditionally haven't been indie people. That doesn't mean that you're not still a Marvel person or a DC person. It's just that you appreciate a good story and good art. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. I am big on good stories and good art. And those stories are fantastic. There's some great stories out there.
So one of the other things that I wanted to get your opinion on is there was, I think, a Thor book that you submitted in. I think you have 4 copies of it. And I want to say all 4 copies came back a 9.8.
Yep.
I get asked this question a lot, and I want to get your opinion of it. Have you seen any detrimental impact to submitting multiple copies of the same book in the same submission?
I have not, in my experience. As you said, I submitted multiples of the Thor book, and they all came back a 9.8. I've done it before, where I think it was 4 Canto books. 3 out of the 4 were 9.8s. The other one was a 9.6. So I've seen what you're talking about, where people feel like, oh, you can't do that because they're just going to give you one 9.8, and then they're going to just mark the rest down because they don't want to give you that 9.8.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that. They are there to grade the book as it's presented, and I just believe that if you want those books in multiple, that it's not a detriment to go ahead and get all of those books graded all at once. I've seen unboxings, because that's kind of my little secret passion, is to watch everybody's unboxing video. I get so much joy out of it, where a guy went like 10 for 10 on the same. It was the same book over and over, and they all were 9.8. So to me, I've seen the other side of the spectrum, where some people don't get those good grades. And for me, it goes back to, did you really take a good look at that book?
Yeah. And it's like, I haven't experienced that either, in terms of 1.98 and everything else 9.6 or some other crazy thing. But just because I haven't experienced it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate it. And I wanted to get your impression of it as well. Again, you're nominated for a comic book community award for unboxing stuff. So I wanted to get your impression of that. But Dani, I want to thank you for coming on again. We are sitting down having a conversation with Dani Girl Comics about her recent submission into CGC. She sent in 25 books, no clean, no press, had 23 of the 25 come back at a 9.8. And I just wanted to have her on to speak a little bit about this unboxing. But Dani, I want to thank you for joining me for a little bit, sharing your perspective and insight. Before I let you go, where can people actually get a hold of you on the social media? Do you want to shout out your social media, Instagram, your YouTube, whatever it is you want to do, have at it.
Yeah, absolutely. On Instagram is Dani_Girl_Comics. And then I have the YouTube channel, Dani Girl Comics and Collectibles.
And she's from the 313. For those that don't know, that is Detroit. where I am from. We have to represent. Dani, I have a feeling that this is not going to be the last time I have you on the channel. I want to thank you again for hanging out with me a little bit. Keep doing those awesome submissions. And you know, again, I think the insight that you provided tonight, I think is going to be invaluable for a lot of people. Do your research, build up your confidence, have some patience. Those were the takeaways from tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Reggie.
It's been a pleasure, Dani. Take care. Bye.
You too.
All right. So huge shout out to Dani Girl Comics. Again, I saw this unboxing and she's just pulling book after book after book. I mean, it was an awesome unboxing. I'll try to remember to put a link to her video in the description of this video in case you guys want to check that out. But again, Dani Girl Comics from the mitten, from Detroit. So I saw a super chat come in earlier. Detroit in the building. You know what's up, movie man Craig. Let me see. I'm scrolling through. There was a super chat that came in from my buddy Vika, Closet Geek, aka Vika. There it is. It is good to see you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. I absolutely appreciate it. It is definitely good to see you. What is that? Herman says, just having a strong, bright light makes a world of difference. It absolutely does. When it comes to evaluating which books you want to send in, you need some good light. And like Dani, I don't wear gloves, but I will tell you, she has way more patience than I do. I am not necessarily a patient person. I try to be. I'm working on it, but she definitely takes a lot more time to scrutinize the books that she is actually sending in. And I think that that's a great skill to have when you're doing a submission, because I think you're going to be less likely to be disappointed when the books come back if you spend the time up front to really evaluate those books. And that's part of the reason why I don't get upset when I do an unboxing and don't quite get a grade that I want. To be completely honest, I blame myself for the submission because I probably did something wrong. That's just being honest. I know me, and I'm definitely honest with, I'm mostly honest with myself. So the other day, you know what? Let me do a quick giveaway. Let me do a quick giveaway before we get to my second guest. So we are going to give away this Predator issue #1. This is a variant that was sent in to me. The winner failed to claim it in the week, so we are going to give it away right now. And so I'm going to ask a question. It's a relatively straightforward question. I want to see if somebody can name. I need the first names of 3 creative people behind Isolation. The first names of 3 creative people behind Isolation. Put that up in the comment section and you can actually get this really awesome Predator issue #1 sent out to you free of charge. Free of charge. So let's see who can actually get this. You cannot go wrong with Arnold. You cannot go wrong. It has to be the creative people. Regie is not a creative person, okay? I am the publisher editor. I can claim no creativity for this book. I have to give credit where the credit is actually due. So I'm waiting for the names to come through. Waiting. I'm scrolling through the names. I am waiting. And Doug, you cannot contribute to this one. I think this is the first one. Can we give it to the OG? Can we give it to the OG? I don't know. I think she is the first. I'm scrolling through. There's a lot of Reggies. Regie did contribute, but I have to give credit to the true creators behind this project, and I do believe that Tina has hit the nail on the head. So Tina, I already have your address, sister. You don't even worry about it. I already know where to send it. I will bundle this up and send it off to you. It is not shiny. It's not shiny like the things you normally like, but I will bundle it up and I will send it off to you. Congrats, Tina, and thank you all for being a part. Mark's like, you better. He put it in all caps too to make sure that I could see it. Was that Matt Woods? Like, yeah, you better give it to her. All right. So I was rolling through Instagram the other day, and I came across a reel that captured my attention. And I want to play part of this reel for you guys, and then I'm going to have my guest on to talk about this reel. So let me see if I can get my ducks in a row. And Shane is like, you better give it to the OG. All right, so let me go ahead and see if I can get my my share to work, and hopefully you guys will be able to hear this in all of its glory.
Hey, happy Monday, y'all. Morpheus is here with a public service announcement. Internet thuggery and keyboard finger jacking gets nobody nowhere very fast. Let's think about this, right? We spend so much time wasting energy arguing with people on social media and the internet, trying to prove our points and make people believe what we believe, right? Think about it. No matter how many facts you spit at somebody, are they ever going to agree with you? When does that ever happen, right? Meanwhile, we spend so much time going back and forth with people, right? So just wasting time arguing. They're not going to. We can't make people believe what we want them to believe. They're either going to believe it or they don't, right? You give them the information, call it a day, move on, right? So with that being said, y'all know me. I judge nobody. I don't judge nobody. I don't care who you are, what you do. As long as you ain't hurting me and mine directly, we good. Do whatever the heck you want to do, right? I judge nobody. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. Now, I don't judge nobody, but if you do something stupid, I'm going to laugh at you. If you do something stupid, I'm going to laugh at you, but I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm just going to laugh at you because that's funny, all right? And then we're going to carry on, and we're going to keep it moving because it's funny, right?
So, that is possibly one of the funniest things that I've seen in a while. Internet thuggery and keyboard finger jacking, just hilarious stuff. So I had to invite this dude to the show. Morpheus, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you.
Hey, Reggie, what's going on, man? Hey, I appreciate you having me out, man. It's good. It's a Sunday. We chilling. I got some pork shoulder on the grill, man.
We just froze up. We're gonna pause here for a sec. We froze on pork shoulder. We are back with Morpheus. I see you, brother. Right. Pork shoulder. Good. Keep going.
Hey, I got a pork shoulder on the grill. It's slow smoking, man, low and slow. So you know what I'm saying, it's got that going. It's a Sunday, man. It's good. It's a good day. And I'm here with you, hanging out with you.
Is that a Phi Beta Sigma paddle back there?
Yes, sir. Of course. True blue through and through.
Oh,
come on now, man.
Oh,
come on,
man. I didn't realize. No,
I know you've seen my Morpheus the Sigma.
Yeah, I didn't put two and two together. Now I'm paying attention. All right. Morpheus, brother. That is hilarious. That is a hilarious reel. I mean, it's funny, but you're also making a lot of really valid points in there, right? So the first thing that I want to ask you is, what are you seeing or hearing in the community that prompted you to create that reel talking about internet thuggery and keyboard finger jacking? That's just hilarious. But what prompted you to put that out there?
Ooh, all right. So especially with our community, and you know, I'm pretty sure at least 99.9% everybody out there knows about acetate gate. We all know what happened at C2E2. And, you know, and so much started spilling out the day that it went down. And we know how social media is. You know, people say this, they say that, you know, the internet thuggery has been going on as long as I can remember. I mean, I had a Black Planet back in the day and it was going on back then. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just keeping it real, right? But I love our community so much that I see how we got so many people from different walks of life that can come together and we can all unite around this common thing that we all love, right? We all have different backgrounds, right? You know, I'm a bodybuilder, you're a bodybuilder, I'm a military guy. I still swear you're a Marine, though. I promise you. I still swear you're a Marine. You act like one, you talk like one.
Maybe in my soul, brother, but not in reality. I can't claim that valor.
Yeah. So when Acetate Gate dropped, the whole cover, you know, again, I'm not going to give my real big 2 cents on that, but immediately people started going to YouTube, social media, and the bashing started.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I know that I learned in the military was perception is reality, even though it's not. Mm. And so people started going and they started blaming the influencers and saying the influencers did this, that, and the third. They're cutting lines. They're getting, you know, hookups and all of this. And I'm like, people just getting bashed. And I'm like, why? Like, you know, let's get some facts first. you know, and that's the rationalization behind it, but so much emotion was going everywhere.
Yep.
But what got me upset, and I tried to process this, but even a week after this incident happened, people are making horrible memes, they're talking trash, or saying so many bad things about people that weren't even there at C2E2 to begin with.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like people just taking their thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and they just want to bash people.
Yep.
You
Now,
know,
what's
so
really-
that's what prompted that.
Now, what's really interesting is that almost every single day, I have someone asking me to comment on that, and I won't. Like I'm not saying anything. I wasn't there.
Yep.
And
I noticed you didn't. I noticed you didn't. I applaud you for that.
It's purposeful. Like it's purpose. Like for one, I missed the big wave because I was head down coming out of a con myself and trying to process orders, that I missed a lot of the actual facts, and all I heard was noise. And I was like, I'm gonna stay out of this chaos. I got other stuff to do, right? But every single day since the event, I have someone asking me to comment. Just a short while ago, 2 hours ago, somebody sent me a DM. Hey, when are you gonna make a video? I'm not gonna make a video, right? But I think what's really interesting in the longer version of the clip on Instagram that you put out is that you did not say that these people that were putting out these videos didn't have valid feelings. Like you said that, hey, they have a point of view, they have valid feelings. So I'm not dismissing that, right?
Exactly.
Can you elaborate on the point that you made in the longer clip about people's feelings and the emotion that was spilling over?
So, okay, so you know, I'm a combat veteran, right? So I have been through a lot and still go through a lot of therapy, and so I've learned a lot of communication tools from that therapy. And so one of the biggest things that I've learned from that, because I used to be a very high into the right kind of person, bad temper, the whole nine. But one of the biggest things I learned was feelings are not facts.
Yes.
Right? Feelings are valid because you feel them. People feel feelings for a reason. That makes them valid, right? People's point of views are shaped by how they were raised, the environment they were raised in, and things that happen to them. And that causes us to have triggers, right? So like something may make you upset, sad, happy, glad, mad, whatever the case may be. That is a feeling. And because you have that feeling is valid because it's yours.
Right.
Right. So, you know, if people were upset about what they saw, they probably had something happen to them in the past that made them feel that way from the jump. They've either been to a convention or been to an event and they've had somebody take advantage of them or their time or cut them in line, or they've missed out on something that they felt they should have gotten. And it caused them to have that feeling of anger, like, ooh, how dare you again, somebody take advantage of me and my time of being a collector.
Yep.
So they had those feelings. Those feelings are valid because they probably had something happen to them in the past.
Yep.
Right. So that makes that feeling valid. Your feelings of those individuals are valid because they're theirs. Right. People are allowed to feel however they want to feel. I feel a lot of things about a lot of things. Right? I'm an emotional person.
Right.
I'm emotional.
Well, we're all emotional because we're people. Right. But I think the thing is, and you correct me if I'm wrong, it's what you do with those emotions that
100%.
matters more. But talk about that. Talk about, feelings are not facts, but you're allowed to feel how you feel. But talk about what you do with what you feel.
Exactly. So many of us, and I don't want to generalize us as a people, but you know, a lot of people, when they feel something, they immediately have an emotional reaction and they do something off the cuff with it. They respond before thinking. Irrationality. Right. So, you know, we have the choice that when we feel something to be able to stop, take a deep breath and say, before we go and put a hole in the wall or flip a desk or bash somebody, we can stop and process, say, look, I'm feeling this. I'm allowed to feel it. But is this factual? Am I just making an assumption without facts and assuming that this person's doing this without knowing the reality behind? There's always something behind the scenes that we don't see. There's always something that we don't see. We can make an assumption and say, this thing is wrong. How dare they do this? But we don't know what they're doing. Maybe there was something already happening behind the scenes. A purchase was already been made. Maybe they're donating something to somebody. We don't know. But who are we to judge them for doing that? We can feel some kind of way. It's like, that kind of makes me upset and sad. But I'm not going to judge them for this. So I'm just going to have my feelings. I'm going to let it be, and I'm going to carry on.
Because the reality, to your point about the perception, right? The perception becomes the reality. And once the video or the meme or whatever is out there, then that becomes the reality for a lot of people, right? And you can't unring that bell, right? So let's say, and I again, I don't want to focus on this thing, but once you say something and that becomes the reality for people, you can't unring that. There's no apology video that goes out that is like, I got this all wrong, right? And that's where I think taking a moment to pause and think before reacting benefits us. And I'll be the first to admit, I sometimes get triggered. I don't really care for that word, but I sometimes don't think before I react, specifically the comments that are left on my video sometimes, right? I sometimes lose my cool, right? Sometimes type a message and I'll post it and then I'm like, oof, probably shouldn't have said that. So I'll go delete it and then write a more appropriate kind of message. But I think stopping and pausing before reacting is a good behavior for all of us. Now, in your mind, what does that get us? That pause before we react as a community, what does that get us in your mind?
That allows us, for one, to be mature. It allows us to be mature and allows us to stop and be able to be empathic, right? This is just my opinion. I feel that what the world's missing is empathy. And by being able to stop and rationalize something, feeling your feelings, but stopping and taking a breath, we're able to be empathic, empathize, not sympathize. There's a big difference, right? But being able to empathize and put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, because that's what it comes down to. We have our own life, we have our own experiences, the way that we believe things, but that doesn't mean that somebody else's beliefs and feelings are invalid because you believe something different or you do something different, right? So being able to empathize by taking that deep breath, we can stop and look at that other person and say, you know what, let's put myself in their shoes and see what they're going through, what they're thinking and what they're doing before I judge them for what they're doing, what I see.
So I'm sitting down having a conversation with Morpheus, who is a vet, and just released this wonderful reel on Instagram that captured my attention that had me laughing and at the same time receiving a positive message, right? I mean, it was a positive message in the midst of not a whole lot of positive that was actually coming out, right? But here's the thing, that taking that moment to pause and empathize with the next person is something that you actually did recently, right? You released, I think, a reel or something like that, and somebody went off in the comment section, and other people went off on that person. I don't want to rehash that mess, right? But talk with me about what happened and what you did, and then we can get into the outcome of your actions. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I finally, after processing a lot of everything around, and so again, just like you, I didn't want to make any kind of videos or announcements about the whole C2E2 thing because I just want to stay out of that, because I didn't want people taking what I had to feel about it and run with it. But I did finally comment on one specific thing, and I just stated facts. And that was revolving around the American flag and how it was presented on the front of that cover, because it was presented incorrectly. And so what I did, without making an emotional statement, I made a factual statement and stated like, hey, just so y'all know, in case you don't, we have what's called the United States Flag Manual. And this is how it's supposed to be presented. So what they did was wrong. And to me, that's not how you present, especially when you're talking about the US military and how we hold that flag very dear, because I've got my flag right there.
There you go.
And I've held a lot of flags at a lot of funerals for a lot of my shipmates and Marines. So that flag was incorrect. So I stated that, gave facts, gave diagrams and whatnot. And of course, it happens. A lot of people were coming in, they're like, yeah, support our vets, and I was like, thank you, that's cool. But then finally there was this one person that jumped in and was like, we got a lot more to worry about than this. This is the stupidest post I've ever seen in my life. Why are we even talking about this? This is a BS post, kick rocks. And
see what I'm saying? Like, you make these great points and then you throw that in there. I gotta chuckle. Kick rocks. All right, keep going.
Dude, I speak for a living, bro. That's what I do. I talk. I talk. So a lot of people came to the defense. And I gotta admit now, as smart as I try to sound, I'm still a human being. So I started typing a response and I had to stop. I had to take a deep breath, draw it back. But by the time before I started to get myself together, other people went ham. They were going ham and they were going off on him. How dare you discredit this veteran? How did this, that, and the third? and they were going in on him, and he was trying to go back. So I finally was like, you know what? Let me stop. Because when I read his post, I realized that he was like, he said there is more important stuff to worry about than this. And I started to think, I was like, this man's probably going through something.
What is he talking about with that statement? Right? Like what specifically is he talking about? Comics, or is he talking about something else? So you slowed it down, you processed, and you picked up on a key phrasing in that, and you reached out to him. Right?
I sure did. Right away, I reached out to him. I was like, look, hey man, look, I feel you. I said, let me stop, let me empathize, and let me take a step back and go outside of my own box and say, you know what? I feel you. There is more important stuff in the world happening right now. So let me share that with you. Let me validate your feelings, and you're going through something. What's going on, man? I'm here for you. I'm not going to bash you. I'm not yelling at you. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. That's not my job to say you're right or wrong. But how are you feeling? And it turns out he's from the South. I'm from the South too. I'm from Kentucky. He's from Tennessee, and he was going through a lot, and a lot was happening with his family. A lot of ostracization, a lot of prejudice, and a lot of issues, you know, that he was going through on a personal level, that his family was being blank with a lot of negative stuff. And I was like, man, I feel you, you know. And so once we went back and forth a little bit and got that out, he stopped and he was like, man, you know what? I'm sorry. It's not you that I'm mad at. And I'm sorry for making that statement to you and discrediting you. I have nothing against you or your service. I'm sorry. I'm just hurting right now. And I was like, I feel you. I said, I hear you, and your feelings are valid. And your heart is real.
Basically what he was doing was he was having a bad day. He saw your post, got upset, not at you, about the other stuff, and it spilled over and manifested itself in the form of kick rocks to you, right, over something you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
But you did the right thing. You slowed it down. You took the moment and you sent him a personal message and was like, yo, what's up? And in the end, there was a positive thing that came out of it, right? This guy had his feelings validated. He felt heard because potentially no one is hearing him at the moment. And somebody's now hearing him and is like, you know what? I get that. I get having a bad day, right? I mean, now the opposite could have happened. You could have finished that message.
Ooh, child. Let me tell you, child. Because it was long. You know, I talk a lot, so I also type a lot.
So you could have finished that message and gone ahead and hit that submit button. And then what would have happened, right? Like more negativity in the community, more back and forth, him probably going on to somebody else's video or the next person in traffic and throwing the bird or whatever, right? But by slowing it down, some positive actually came out of it. And I think that that's wonderful. Are there other takeaways from that interaction that you want to make that I maybe missed from my little encapsulation there?
Yeah, it's just very important for us, you know, along with all that. Again, if I would have sent that original message, we would have been going back and forth. And he wouldn't have heard me and I wouldn't have heard him. And it just would have been a bunch of arguing, people trying to prove points. And that goes back to that first post that I made, is nobody is going to agree with you if you start arguing with them. So many people spend so much time nowadays trying to prove that they are right to somebody else because they want people to think like them. When in culture, in the whole world, have we gotten any kind of growth out of having a bunch of like-minded people around us? Growth comes from conflict.
Healthy conflict. There you go.
Conflict. Growth comes. We need people with different ideas. We need to be able to communicate with people, even people we disagree with, and say, you know what? I don't agree with you, but I can still be cool with you. You don't have to be mad at somebody you disagree with.
And you certainly don't want everybody to think the same, because that doesn't really get you anywhere. Like one of the things that I do at work, right, is I come up with ideas and then I find people that think differently than me, that have a different point of view. And I'm like, hey, what do you think of this idea? Hey, this is what I was thinking. What do you think? Right? Because it makes it better. I think that 100%. That's where real growth and innovation comes from, is from collaboration. But it all starts with the ability to communicate with one another. If you can't communicate effectively, I'm not talking about persuasive communication,
correct,
but communication to be like, here's my point of view. What's your point of view? Okay, well, we agree to disagree, but I get your point over here. I just don't fully appreciate it. I think you have to be able to have that conversation. Would you agree?
No, very much so. You know, I have to have, like, I don't want people to think like me, because the reality is, if I had a lot of people around me that think like me and act like me, I'd get tired of them really quick. I'm just saying, 100%. I get tired of them really quickly, right? I need people to challenge my thought process so I can grow.
Yeah.
I like having a healthy conversation with somebody that doesn't think like I do, that disagrees with me, so I can hear their point of view and then learn more empathy to hear where they're coming from, but then also hopefully break down that wall so they can hear me also. And so we can say, you know what, I may not agree with you, but I respect how you feel and I empathize with you.
There you go.
I validate how,
because sometimes there is some growth. Like you may actually change your position as a result of a compelling argument. Like I personally, when someone comments on a video and they don't disagree, depending upon how I read their post, I may comment back because I want to hear what they have to say, because maybe there's something I can learn from them. But sometimes when there's certain comments that are made with the way the comment is being made, there's really no benefit that can come out of that, right? In terms of the back and forth. And so you have to just say, hey, thank you for commenting. I appreciate you sharing your perspective. I'm out. Right. But sometimes somebody puts up a comment that's like, that's actually a good point. Let's talk about that so I can understand. Right. And I think that there's a difference to your point about there's a little nugget sometimes of truth in a comment. You just have to find it. So,
you know, and the good and the bad is a double-edged sword. Social media has done so much to connect people, but it's also caused a lot of people to get caught up in, and this is just my speculation and my thought. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but people get caught up in their pride.
Yeah.
And they, you know, people become very prideful. It's like, you know what, how I think is right, how I feel is right. And how dare you tell me not to think or feel that way?
Yeah.
And so that comes out instead of people. And because we're not face to face, it's easier when if I'm face to face with you and we're having a conversation and you disagree with me, then I can sit there and say, okay, tell me why. But when we don't have that intimate communication of face to face with people, getting body language too, that's a big part of it. And people communicate with people. We're just behind a keyboard and words get misconstrued and people just want to go at it. And we lose that. People become more prideful and put up a wall and then
more entrenched.
We're done.
And then you get more internet thuggery and keyboard finger jacking. I think I'll make a t-shirt out of that, bro. Like, so I actually had another YouTuber when I put up the thumbnail for tonight and the title, had another YouTuber reach out to me and they were like, that is the funniest thumbnail I've seen in a long time. And I'd like to take credit for it. I completely stole it from you. But I when I hear you talk, when I listen to your reels on Instagram, what I hear is a person that cares about this community and wants to see nothing but good come out of the community. And you have to support that, right? At least in my mind, I feel like that's what I want to support, not some of the other negativity. Not to say that there aren't bad elements. I'm just choosing to focus on the more positive stuff because that's what I need in my life. But Morpheus, before I let you go, brother, any parting thoughts that you want to share about this experience, your impression of the community, your hopes for the community, any parting words of wisdom that you want to share with us?
I think from my perspective, like this is one of the best communities I've experienced in my life. And I've been a part of a lot of communities. You know, I'm a fraternity member alongside, fraternity member, military, motorcyclist, I'm a bodybuilder. You know, I do all these things, right? But to be able to have all these, we come from different walks of life and backgrounds, be able to come in and talk about comic books and who created them and the art and what went into them. Like, that's beautiful, right? Yeah. And so I've never seen a community where we can have all these different people from different walks of life come together and do that. So to see this kind of discord, I literally felt like there was a divide. It broke my heart. It hurt me, right? Because I see a lot of people out there that I like in our community and they're mad at each other. And I'm like, why? Right? We don't know the whole picture. We don't know the full story. We do not know what people are doing. Do you really think the people that you are bashing, do you really feel like they're intentionally trying to be malicious?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like, there's got to be more to a story. So before you judge somebody, because we're all human, I do it. When this all broke down, I wanted to sip the tea. I wanted to know what's going on. I did. Right? Not to judge people, but to know, because, drama sells, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to know. But before you judge somebody, take a stop, realize there's more to what's going on. There's more behind the scenes. There's more behind sales, distribution. There's more behind communication. People are doing stuff that we don't see on a daily basis to make this whole thing work. At the end of the day, this is a business. If money is not made, the business falls, right? If the things we're stressing about influencers, we need to be more worried about other stuff, the stuff behind the scenes we don't see, like Diamond Distribution. They're one publisher away from just being up under, right? They don't have DC or Marvel no more.
which
Let
is
them
not a
lose
good
one
thing.
more. That's not a good
thing
Let them
for the
lose
hobby.
one more. They will
Yeah.
lose their profits, and we'll lose Diamond. Then we're going to lose comic books.
Yep.
That's the stuff. But money makes that stuff not happen.
Money
So
is important.
Money's
important. I'm
People gotta make money.
sorry.
At the end of the day, it's the reality of it.
Right.
Let's be realistic. Instead of just casting judgment, let's be realistic. I'm trying to get ahead too. I'm trying to eat. We all trying to eat. I'm trying to grow in this game.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? It was like all good that you threw. I'm trying to eat. I'm trying to get this bag. I respect it.
Look, we all trying to get there. We all trying to network. We all trying to grow. We all trying to get hookups. I'm sorry, but that's how we get ahead.
Yep.
And then we take care of each other. We can bless each other. Like one thing, the biggest thing that I love is when I'm on my whatnot and I can just give away books.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I just gave away a Venom LP #1.
Yep.
I gave it away.
When you have a lot, you're supposed to share it. That's my belief, right? You're supposed to share it. That's what it's supposed to be about. And especially in this community that I love. Like, I love the community. I love the people. Yep. And to your point, 100. It's been bad a little bit, right? But my fingers are crossed because of reels like yours and conversations hopefully like this that are happening here and elsewhere. We're going to get back to a good place. That's my belief. Morpheus, where can people get a hold of you on social media, brother?
Can I say one more thing?
Quick? Get after it. Go ahead.
All right, look, because I can talk a lot, so you got to red light me half the time. Look, because again, look, I talk. These people that we bash and judge and we see, always remember, just like us, they have a life, they have a family. They have drama, they have struggles, they have may or may not have kids, they have bills to pay, they have hard life, they have circumstances, they have a life they got to deal with too, right? Bad things happen to us, bad things happen to other people too. So always remember that that's part of empathy, is stopping us. And before we judge somebody for what they're doing and what we see, remember they have a life too. They have a family to take care of. We don't know, they might be going through health circumstances. They may have a kid going through health issues. They may be, in bankruptcy, they may have had a car breakdown. We don't know.
You never know.
So before we judge, stop and think about those things, because that's real life. That's reality. That's reality.
There we go. And it goes beyond just comics, right? To your point, like this is a small part of a lot of what people are. There's a lot more that's out there that is unseen. Morpheus, where can people get a hold of you on the social media should they choose to tune in to these hilarious reels that you drop?
Hey, good to go. Not YouTube, because I'm not as creative with making videos. I'm trying to, but I'm not. IG, Morpheus_Multiverse. Morpheus is multiverse, right? So Morpheus_Multiverse, and on Whatnot. Come out, let me a Whatnot, right? Whatnot, Morpheus 1914. 1914.
Oh my goodness. That's it. Oh my goodness. Morpheus, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother. Thank you. Thank you for putting out some positive content that again capture my attention. It's informative and it's also fun. And I think that that's what comics should be about. So I want to thank you. And we're probably going to have you come back, brother, because I enjoyed the conversation.
I appreciate you having me, man, and everybody else for listening. Thank you. It's been fun. It's been real. And I just appreciate it, man. Like, I love you, bro. I love you. I love you, man.
I see you.
You a real one. You a real one, dog.
I try, brother. I try. We'll talk to you soon. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, y'all. Have a good night.
All right. So huge shout out to Morpheus for taking some time out to join me. I reached out to he and Dani, and both of them were like super gracious. They were like, absolutely, let's make this magic happen. So I'm glad that the schedules aligned. We were able to get them on because I enjoyed both parts of tonight's show. Hopefully you guys did as well. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to do so. That way you won't miss out on any of the content like this that comes out from Regie Collects. Again, some really awesome videos are going to be dropping this week. Regie Collects is going to be squaring off against Key Collector app. I absolutely love Key Collector app, but there is going to be a versus. There's going to be a versus. Key Collector versus Regie Collects video dropping this week. Buy these books now is a second video. The third video, are comics a source of happiness? Those are the 3 pre-recorded videos that are coming out this week. There will be one live stream on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in addition to that, my brother will be dropping the podcast on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, if you guys have not yet subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to do that. If you are watching this live and you enjoyed, even if you're watching this on replay, if you enjoyed the 2 folks that I interviewed, if you enjoyed the show overall, I definitely want to encourage you to go ahead and hit the thumbs up button because it is good for the algorithm. As always, if you all need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
My body ate itself until it found its passion. They got fat while we starved, but it's power in fasting. Until I turn to ashes, I remain stoic through my rap heroics. I painted 10,000 poems, then I drank the potion of poetry and motion. I started choking, it was potent. My throat chakra downloaded, knowledge hungry. I was embarrassed I could ask my parents for money when I had a full tummy. So I asked for wisdom, better than crypto, sweeter than honey. I don't take it for granted, I don't wear capes and masks.